Today, we're joined by Amanda Monaco, a guitarist, composer, and educator whose artistry spans jazz and beyond. With performances at renowned venues like Jazz at Lincoln Center and the Blue Note, and collaborations with icons such as Milt Hinton and the Mingus Orchestra, Amanda's 8 albums as a leader showcase her eclectic style and inventive compositions. As an associate professor at Berkeley and a faculty member at the New England Conservatory, Amanda continues to inspire through her teaching and artistic director of Convergence Arts, bringing improvisation to diverse communities. So tune in for an exploration of her remarkable journey, creative projects, and commitment to jazz and jazz education. So, Amanda, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So we just wrapped up 2024. It's the end of January 2025. So kind of talk to me about what you're looking forward to this year musically and some of the highlights in 2024 for you.
Um, okay, 2024 was, let's see, what was 2024? 2024 was really interesting. I started it off by going to my first Jazz Education Network conference, the Gen conference, and it was in New Orleans. And I can finally say I've been to New Orleans, which has been sort of a point of contention for me, like in my head, like, the little voice, like, you're a jazz musician. Why have you been to New Orleans? What's wrong with you? So I finally got to New Orleans. And but it was such a lovely it was a lovely conference because like I reconnected with all these people, and then I started playing with some musicians that I hadn't been playing with before, with the pianist and Hammond organ player Jason Yeager, and that in turn led to playing with the drummer Paul Francis, and we did a lot of gigs this year together. It was really cool. So there's that. There's what else happened in 2004? I moved back to Manhattan
Oh, wow.
because Manhattan is now cheaper than Brooklyn and Queens. What?
Yeah.
So that was cool. I ended the year with the most horrific upper respiratory infection.
So a culmination of a lot of different things. So that was your first time to New Orleans. Did you go check out the music on Bourbon Street and all the little clubs like the Spotted Cat and everything? Was, all the New Orleans style music that you hear down there?
Well, I have a friend that lives down there, so I did go to hear her play on Bourbon Street, and the conference was pretty busy. Mostly, I ate a lot of food.
Mhm. Is that at a convention center, the conference, basically?
They always have it at the Hyatt. Like this year, it was in Atlanta, and it was also at the Hyatt. It was good this year too, actually. Um, and So yeah, and there's just a bunch of stuff going on, just a bunch of clinics and concerts and panels and things like that.
So
There,
you were invited to go, or is it something you decided to do, through like did you have a performance at the conference?
not this year. No, I'm hoping to do a performance and or a clinic next year. I missed the deadline for this
Ah,
year. It comes up really fast. They're like, quick! Oh, it's gone. So no, this year. Yeah, this year I'm planning on putting something together for next year. I think it's in New Orleans again next year.
so would you consider your new group with Jason Yeager, would you say that's sort of a new working trio that just has a really good collaboration together?
Um, yeah. And sometimes it's a quartet. Like when I book the gigs, a lot of times there'll be a Barry player as well. I have a quartet album um, called Glitter that features the baritone saxophonist Lauren Sevian and the organist Gary Versace and the drummer Matt Wilson. So a lot of times when I book stuff, I'll book it as a quartet, and Lauren will play, or Patrick Lastly played the last gig.
I know you
Um,
also worked with Claire Daly too a bit, right?
oh my God, I worked with Claire Daly a ton.
Yeah, it's
I
very
did.
unfortunate that she had passed away. Um, a very special musician, a special person, was very nice to me when I met her. Just very kind, which is something that can be an overlooked quality in a lot of jazz musicians, unfortunately. Just a kind soul, which is kind of, I feel that what she was. And can you talk about playing with Claire? Your relationship, where you guys met, what it was like to work together? Because I think that, you know, we should kind of let the world know, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I started playing with Claire in 1999,
Wow.
2000. And we were in this band, the J.C. Hopkins Big-ish band. It wasn't a big band; it was big-ish.
Mm.
But I had a Volvo station wagon at the time, and I was living in Harlem. So every Wednesday, I would pick up the vocalist, the singer, Queen Esther, in Harlem, and then I would drive down to Upper West Side and pick up the saxophonist Patience Higgins. And then I'd drive down to Chelsea and pick up Claire. And then we'd all go to the gig. And somehow I never drove anybody home, which is really weird. But every Wednesday I picked them up. And it was like
Everyone
just
fled
this
the scene
thing.
after.
I don't know what happened. But maybe probably because it was just so late at night. Everybody like this kind of dispersed. But Claire, yeah, Claire was just a constant in my life for decades, for 2 decades, you know. And we played a lot of gigs together. We hung out a lot, you know. And she would have these parties. She would have these Christmas parties, and because she had a loft in Chelsea. She lived there for a very very long time. She had one of the best landlords in the world because I mean, I don't think he ever like jacked up the rent to he just wanted a good tenant.
Right.
So it stayed affordable, right? But she would have these parties in her loft, and you'd see like all the musicians there that you knew, and just it was just such a good time, and she was such a community organizer in that way, you
Was it
know.
on Christmas Eve, like the night before, like
No, 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 it was like the week before
week
Christmas.
before?
It's just like a holiday party, and um, but it was, she was just pure joy. That was the thing about her. She was pure joy and just sweetness, and yeah, I really miss her. I think I'm still a little bit in denial about the fact that she's not around anymore because she was such a big part of my life.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if you knew about this, but and I don't know who was doing it, but there were uh, after she died, there were people spray painting Claire Daly Lives
Oh,
on
I didn't.
on
Wow.
walls in Bushwick, and then I think they did it in the Village near Smalls. Like with Bird Lives, Claire Daly Lives, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you find yourself thinking about Claire when you're playing, like almost like the inspiration kind of comes to you because that's such a she played an instrument that's not too frequently played. It's everyone's mostly playing like tenor saxophonist and alto, that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I primarily work with a Barry player. I
Hmm.
primarily work with Lauren Zevion. So I've been doing that for 4 years now. Well, I mean, our record came out, Glitter came out, I guess, in 2018. And then Lauren and I made another record with 3 saxophones, with Jenny Hill on tenor and Alexa Tarantino on alto. And that group was called Lioness. And so, um, yeah, I've kind of just, with the pandemic and stuff, just everything got weird. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell anybody that.
I mean, we're having a meeting on Zoom, so.
And we're having a meeting on Zoom. I never got off Zoom because I teach Berkeley online, so I'm on Zoom. I'm just on Zoom.
Oh, so all your students through Berkeley are virtual.
No, no, no. Just there's Berkeley and there's
Right.
Berkeley Online.
Oh, okay, Berkeley Online. Got it. Got it.
So Berkeley Online is something like I just taught a lesson on Berkeley Online right before I got on this call with you, and I have a class later. No, they're two separate. Well, they're not separate. I mean, like they're connected, but no, I'm in Boston 2 days a week. I'm one of those crazy New Yorkers that goes up on Sunday night and comes home Tuesday night.
Oh, so you stay over for
Yeah, I have, I
for two
have, uh,
days.
I have, I stay with family there. I'm lucky in that way that I have a place to stay. So,
Yeah,
um,
because that's a trip. That's 5 hours.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I fly. The,
Oh,
the crazy thing is that up until March of this year, like I book all my travel in advance just because it's cheaper. But for whatever reason, flights in January and February this year were only $10 more than the train.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's weird. It's weird. So yeah. So um,
And I
but
would
I've been
imagine like it's like you're almost in two different worlds. Like it must get kind of, does it become mentally exhausting when you're doing that like every week? Because I mean, it's almost like you're living two different lives in a sense, during the week.
well. I get a lot of work done on the train. That's the thing. Like I do a
Okay.
lot of grading. I do a lot of grading on the train. I take naps. I really love naps, and I don't get enough naps.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but the flight to Boston, that that for whatever reason, I always fall asleep on that flight. I have like the most intense power nap on that flight, like one of those, one of those where like your mouth is open and you're
Yeah.
like one
And
of
it's such
the.
a short flight too.
But it's so intense. I don't know why I have these intense. You have these intense naps when I fly. It's crazy.
Yeah, I flew home from Paris to New York um about a month ago, and I fell asleep before takeoff and landed an hour before we landed. It was amazing. It just slept through the whole flight because the
Uh,
going there I couldn't sleep, and that's a long flight.
yeah. Did you get a better neck pillow?
I didn't even I had a neck pillow for the flight going there, but it really was not good at all. But then like on the way back, I just was just done. I don't know. I just no neck pillow.
Did you go for fun, for music, for?
No, I went on my honeymoon actually.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. I went to Paris on my honeymoon too,
Oh, really?
20 years ago.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I always wanted to go, and we went to go hear music. We went to this jazz club, 38 Riv, it's called. Did you go there
I don't
ever?
know if I've been there actually. I haven't been to Paris since 2019. That was the last time I went.
Yeah. It
And
was
I was
so
doing
gr
auditions for the college, so.
Yeah, it was so great to hear the players over there. Like I had chills for the first three songs they played. They were
Who played?
there was a drummer named Benjamin Sands, uh
Mhm.
Yoni Zelnick on bass, and this piano player named Levi Harvey.
Okay.
Yeah, so but they were great. It was just a packed room like in the freezing cold. So like I wouldn't, it was so nice to see a packed club like that, and just it was a really cool place. I wish there were more places. It's kind of like Smalls, a little bit has that vibe, or the Cornelia Street Cafe.
Oh, the Cornelia Street Cafe.
Yeah,
I
that was such a cool place.
played there a ton. I mean, I used to just go there for brunch. They used to have a creme brulee of the day. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. But I used to go there and have the salmon. The salmon was really good for dinner.
Yeah, everything there was really good. They roasted garlic better than anybody.
Yeah.
I just remember their garlic. I don't know.
But that was such a cool place. It's such a shame. I mean, that's just like one of the places that's gone. New York is very different in terms
Yeah,
of in terms of places to play and everything like that. It's just
yeah, but it's coming back. It always comes back and it disappears and it comes back. And there used to be there was this great promoter he named Depop, and he I mean, he ran a bike messenger service, but he liked to also promote like a lot of free improvised music. And I remember when a
like that was
series
his thing, like just like freer stuff to
like
that.
free jazz, yeah,
Yeah.
and he had something in the basement of CD's gallery when that was still around. He had, and then when this one venue he was hosting a series that was called, I think it was in the East Village, it was called Jimmy's, and then Jimmy's decided not to have music anymore. And I just remember him writing at the end of the email, "The music will live on even if they take all the buildings away."
Yeah. No, that's 100% right.
Yeah, so stuff is popping up. I mean, things are popping up. And then also, like one of the things that I spent quite a few years doing is creating my own spaces, creating my own gigs. Um, through the nonprofit that I started, Convergence Arts. We would do like festivals. When I lived in Queens, there's a there's a brewery in Queens called Single Cut, and they're called Single Cut because all of the necks look like, for the taps, look like guitar necks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, they even they even just partnered up with Diodario Strings and released a beer called Eddie Ate Dynamite.
Oh my
Because like
goodness.
the strings of the guitar, to remember the names of the strings of the guitar is Eddie Ate Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, EADGYE. So they
Hmm. I think we froze for a second. Hmm.
mm,
Oh yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that.
okay, yeah, I didn't know if it was my internet or yours. So about 10 years ago, I teamed up with the guitarist Mike Baggetta,
Hmm.
and we did the Six String Summit at Single Cut.
That's
And we just said
awesome.
to them, we said, hey, if we charge a $10 cover and you give them a free pint of lager, can we work something out? And they're like, yeah, you can do that. So we did. We did three concerts. The first one was David Torn on guitar with Tim Byrne on saxophone. That was David Torn, Tim Byrne duo. Then we had the David Tronzo trio the following month, and then with the final concert was Nels Klein and Julian Lage,
Oh wow.
because they had a full back line. They had a stage that was it was a crazy stage. You had to climb these stairs, and it was built on top of the offices and the bathrooms. So it was you were playing way up high, but like our bands would open up for them. We made enough money to pay everybody. Their bar sales tripled every time we had a concert. So it was like a win-win, you know. And it doesn't always work out that way, and it is a ton of work because then we like, and I'm lucky because my husband can do graphic design, so he designed he designed like a booklet for every concert, and we sold ads. So like Steinway took out an ad, and New York real estate being what it is, like we got like Modern Spaces to take out like a full page ad on the back, and
Yeah.
so
You
I did
know,
a
you know,
lot of
you,
that.
you're talking, doing that and doing things like the nonprofit. It's certainly out of the box thinking in a way, when it comes to tying that together with the performing. Is have you always been that way, or is it something that kind of developed naturally?
Well, I worked with a guy named Marty Kahn who's still around actually. He he has an organization called Outward Visions, and he's always worked with nonprofits. Like or not worked with them, but he's always said that, and especially now more than ever, the nonprofit structure is really a good way to go to have a sustainable career,
Hmm.
you know, as because if you think about it, like every dance company is a nonprofit, every theater company is a nonprofit, every museum's a nonprofit. And I don't know how familiar you are with the AACM, based out of Chicago, the Association for Advancement of Creative Musics. Muhal Richard Abrams, Jody Christian.
Yeah, I don't really know about it, to be honest with you, but if you could, I would love to know.
Yeah, there's a book that George Lewis wrote called A Power Greater Than Itself, and the AACM came about in 1968, I believe, because um, there were jazz musicians in Chicago that wanted to play their music. They didn't want to play standards all the time anymore. And out of that came the World Saxophone Quartet and the Art Ensemble of Chicago. Both groups were nonprofit entities. Um, John Zorn runs a nonprofit.
Right. I did know.
Like Hips Road has been around since the '80s, I believe, and Marty Kahn's worked with all of those people, like setting up. And there's actually there's a uh, there's a there's a drummer named Andrew Drury. Are you familiar with Andrew?
I don't know Andrew. No.
Oh, yeah. He has a really successful nonprofit called Continuum Culture and Arts, and on his website they're doing a Marty's teamed up with him, and they're doing this thing called the Empowerment Initiative, and there are videos about like how the nonprofit structure is useful if, especially if you're playing music that's kind of off the beaten path, like if you're playing your own original music. And I've done mostly original music like my entire career. Like I haven't been like, I mean, I play standards. I love standards. I practice standards all the time. Um, but I also write and stuff. And some of my stuff is a little bit more avant-garde leaning. So for those things, the nonprofit structure is really good. And then also because I'm an educator, again, back when I lived in Queens, I started a collective called the Queens Jazz Overground. Not to be confused with the Brooklyn Jazz Underground, but that's where the
Okay.
name came from. Because Brooklyn has all the underground trains and Queens has all the overground trains. So that's how we did that. And we actually did some concerts with the Brooklyn Jazz Underground at Dizzy's Club and at, um, at Shapeshifter Lab. We did some things with them, but um, so one of the big things that we did, the Queens Jazz Overground did, is we did a 1 day festival every spring called Spring Jazz Fest. And it was all day at Flushing Town Hall in Queens. And we had student groups come in and we did master classes with them. And they got to play for audiences and stuff. Um, and then we had workshops at the time that we were doing it. There were, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but Louis Armstrong loves to make collages. Do you know about the collages of Louis Armstrong?
I thought
Collages.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a whole exhibition on those. So there was a teaching artist who designed um, a collage making workshop for little kids. So
Oh,
she
that's
came
awesome.
in, so the little kids had something to do. And then at night we had Queens based bands play. And we would try and get a Queens jazz legend as a headliner. So the first year we were actually able to get James Spalding
Oh,
in 2013. So he played with us, which was pretty awesome. And there's footage of that on YouTube somewhere.
yeah, I have to go down the rabbit hole and find that.
Exactly, the rabbit hole. I like that. I like that idea of the rabbit hole. Yeah. So,
No, it's a lot of,
but
it sounds like it's just like a lot of just community and paying it forward and it really, really what it's all about at the end of the
exactly,
day.
exactly. And
Connections, which is overlooked.
yeah, people don't realize that connection is everything. You
Yeah,
know,
humans are creatures who want to connect with people.
yeah,
And,
whether they know it or not.
yeah, yeah. There is a loneliness epidemic going on in the country. Um, uh, there's like two sides to it. There's the one side where people are lonely and they're sad, but then they're also like because of the way our culture has been and with social media and just screens, like there's also that need we have to be alone more than we used to. So it's just there's two sides of it. But at the end of the day, the loneliness only goes so far. You got to connect.
Yeah, yeah. I tell my students that all the time. I'm like, just get off your phone. Just get off your phone. You
Yeah,
know, just do it. Like, and then I also remind them that Steve Jobs never let his children have screens,
yeah.
and
I
he
actually have
invented
a
the iPhone.
box to lock my phone away and my wife's phone. So it's like about this big. I put our phones in to like get
Yeah,
away from everything,
yeah,
even just for an hour or two.
yeah. The other thing you can do is put your phone on gray scale instead of color.
Oh, I didn't even know you could do that on an
Yeah,
iPhone.
and then you look at it and you're like, eh. Yeah, you take out all the color.
Yeah, I showed some of my kids students like what phones used to look like in the early 2000s. Like they couldn't believe it. They're like, this is not. That's not a phone. Like that's a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, but flip phones are back, so you can get a flip phone now.
Yeah. It's crazy to me when I went to Smalls maybe about 2 weeks ago or so, and like just to see everybody like getting their stories on their phone. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I did it for like a second too, you know what I mean? Like, but it's just like you can't go a second without not seeing someone not on their phone when
I know.
there's
I know. That's why, like, I went to a concert. I saw the Misfits, I think it was in 2018, and they made everybody lock up their phones. They gave us all pouches and they locked them.
that's great. I know that I think Dave Chappelle might have done that too for
I
some of
think
his
so.
I don't know, but yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, at Berkeley, when we, especially at guitar concerts and stuff, like, we remind the students that you really just can't videotape anything without the artist's permission. You're actually not supposed to do that. It's actually illegal.
Really?
Yeah.
Even in a public
If I
space
don't
though?
give you permission to record me and post it,
Yeah.
yeah, technically you're not supposed to do that unless you
Wow.
get permission.
Even in like if someone's playing in a restaurant and like playing music in is that or is that
Yeah,
different?
I mean, I think across the board, like if you think about it, like I mean, some people definitely feel that way. Some people don't like to be recorded,
I don't.
and it's but yeah, you're not really supposed to do that and then like post it.
Yeah. And it can be incredibly intrusive for the artist too.
Well, yeah, totally. Especially if you're not good at it. Especially if you're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that's the worst.
yeah. So, um, but yeah. Oh, so back to what I was saying about the Queen's Jazz Overground. So with the nonprofit and stuff like that, um, yeah. So there are videos on Continuum Culture and Arts on that page about dispelling the myths of nonprofits that Marty Kahn did, and it just shows you the outline of like how you can take that kind of thing and um, you know build a career through it.
Yeah.
And Andrew's really done that with Continuum because like he has a bunch of different initiatives, um, and he has a concert series in his house called Soup and Sound. He makes soup. He doesn't play music, but he also is in the public schools, and everything, everything an artist does these days, like nobody just plays anymore.
I tell this to everybody.
My friend's brother, um, is he's a strength training coach for football players, like on the college level. And when he gets, football players that say that they're just going to play football, as a career, he's like, look, Indiana Jones is a college professor. So, in the most far-fetched movie where the guy is looking for the most far-fetched thing, like the Holy
The
Grail,
Holy Grail, exactly.
he also teaches college. You might want to think about that,
Yeah.
right? Because you never think about Indiana Jones as a college professor, but that's what he does.
Yeah, Professor Jones, Dr. Jones, I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Jones,
Yeah.
right? And even I don't know if you saw the latest Indiana Jones
You know,
movie.
I haven't. I'm that way with James Bond and Indiana Jones. I'm very old school.
No, that's why you should watch it because it is old school. They
Oh,
brought back
okay.
a bunch of people from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Even the Nazis, they brought back the Nazis.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. But like the premise of the movie, it starts out that Indiana Jones is about to retire from Hunter College. So it really drives it home. No, it's funny because like I know what you mean. Like I did not watch The Crystal Skull, but I watched the other three, right?
Yeah, yeah. That I
And
mean, I just I don't know. I've been that way ever since the I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't. I saw a couple of the new James Bond movies and they're great. I can't see them anymore. It's just
it's okay. I live in a house where we don't go past Return of the Jedi, so
oh yeah, yeah. I haven't seen any of that either, to be honest.
and we don't go past Metallica after Cliff Burton.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. I live in one of those households, and we don't see Dead and Company because Jerry Garcia is gone. And
Right.
definitely not now because Phil Lesh is gone too.
Yeah, they were just at the Vegas Sphere for doing this like for a couple days, and it's like its own other world than what it used to be. And when you're in a venue like that, this big enclosed space that's like a ball and so technologically advanced in every which way. You know what I mean?
I do. It's weird.
It's like
It's kind of old
its
school.
own it's like its own new thing or something like
Yeah,
that.
I know. Well, that's the
But
thing. Everything's changing, right? Like everything, the world is constantly evolving, and the way an artist is presented is always changing. And, um, you have to look for things. You have to look for ways to create connection, ways to create community, ways to, reach out to people, you know? Because people want to they want you to reach out. Like, that's the
oh
thing.
yeah, totally, totally, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and,
I think I've gotten like maybe like one or two no's from people who wanted to do my podcast,
really,
That's really it, you know.
yeah. Have you interviewed Matt Wilson yet?
I haven't.
You
I
need
might
to.
have reached out to him, but uh if you could pass along the he saw me play once. I remember he walked into my gig
Oh,
at
what do you
Cafe.
play?
What?
What do you play?
What
What
was I
instrument do you play?
Oh, guitar.
Oh, you're a guitar player.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you go to school for that,
I went to
or?
Berkeley.
Oh, you did. Who'd you study with?
John Thomas. He's no longer alive. I'm not sure if he was there when you were teaching. I think maybe he left in 20. You were there in 2011. I think maybe he left in 2013 or 15, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Yeah, he was
You
very
a
old school.
performance major?
hmm
Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool.
Part-time podcaster.
Nice. Now you're a
Part-time
full-time
podcaster,
podcaster.
mostly guitarist slash educator.
Nice. Are you teaching and stuff as well?
Yeah, yeah. I teach at a college in New Jersey
Oh,
and
which one?
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a
I went to
couple
college
people.
in New Jersey. I
Where?
didn't go to Berkeley. I went to.
Oh,
I started at Rutgers and I finished at William Patterson.
were you studying with Vic Juris?
No, Ted Dunbar.
Ted Dunbar.
Yeah, I
So it goes.
studied with Ted Dunbar.
Mhm.
Vic was actually at Patterson when I was at Patterson, but I couldn't get lessons with him because everybody else got lessons with him, and so I studied with Steve Wilson, the alto
Oh,
player.
that's just as good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
I mean,
So,
he's amazing. So, no, but we're about out of time. But it was so nice to connect and and learn about all you're doing and everything. And thank you so much for doing this.
oh yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
All right.